Have you noticed how getting out of bed feels heavier than it used to? The knees don't push as easily, the arms feel weaker, even lifting a small grocery bag feels like it weighs twice as much as it once did. If you're over 60, you're not imagining it. Science tells us that after the age of 60, our bodies lose muscle at an alarming rate, sometimes as much as 3 to 5% every decade, faster if you've been sick or sedentary. By the time you hit your 70s, you may have lost almost a third of your strength compared to when you were 40. That's not just numbers on a chart, that's your independence. It's the difference between climbing stairs without thinking and needing to hold on to the rail for dear life. It's the difference between hugging your grandchild tight and worrying your arms might give out halfway through. But what if I told you there's a simple, natural way to tell your body, even at 60, 70, or 80, to hold on to your strength, to rebuild the muscle that keeps you moving, steady, and alive? And what if I told you it's not a pill, it's not a powder, it's not hours at the gym, it's a small, unassuming food that's been in your kitchen all along? Not just one kind, but 7 different nuts, each with its own way of healing and rebuilding what time has been taking away. I'm Dr. Milam, and for over 30 years, I've had the privilege of helping men and women in their later years reclaim their strength, ease their pain, and live without fear of frailty. I've seen too many patients come into my office saying, "Doc, I guess this is just old age," only to watch them months later walk out with their shoulders straight, their steps firm, and their confidence restored. That's why I'm making this video today, because aging doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean losing yourself to fatigue and aches. Sometimes it means giving your body the right fuel, tiny, powerful foods packed with the minerals, proteins, and oils your muscles are starving for. Let's start with walnuts. There's a reason they've been called the brain nut. Crack one open and you'll see it looks a bit like a brain. And it doesn't just support memory, it supports muscle too. Walnuts are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, a type of healthy fat that fights inflammation. As we age, inflammation builds in our muscles like rust on old metal. It makes them stiff, painful, and slow to repair. A handful of walnuts, eaten a few times a week, helps wash that rust away. I had a patient, Ratisha, 74 years old, who shuffled more than she walked. Her knees ached, her legs felt heavy. We added walnuts to her daily breakfast, just 8 halves sprinkled on her morning porridge, and within a month, she came back smiling. She said, "I walked to the park today, and I didn't have to sit on the bench halfway there." That's the quiet power of walnuts, healing you from the inside out so movement feels natural again. Now let's talk about almonds. Many of my older patients underestimate just how much protein they need, especially after 60. Without enough protein, your body simply can't rebuild the tissue it loses every day. Almonds are tiny protein packets, but they offer more than that. They're loaded with magnesium, which relaxes muscles and stops those nighttime cramps that wake you up in pain. Margaret, one of my patients, came in complaining she hadn't had a full night's sleep in months because of sudden calf cramps. We didn't start with pills, we started with almonds. 10 raw almonds soaked overnight, eaten in the morning. 2 weeks later, her sleep returned, her legs felt lighter, and she could finally rest without fear of pain jolting her awake. Sometimes the simplest foods are better than any medicine. Then there are pistachios, a cheerful little nut that packs a punch. Beyond their protein, pistachios help regulate blood sugar. If your blood sugar spikes and crashes, you feel sluggish and tired, making you avoid movement altogether. A handful of pistachios in the afternoon keeps your energy steady so you can take that evening walk or do your stretches without feeling drained. I've seen patients who used to nap through the day stay awake and active just by adding pistachios as a snack instead of processed crackers or biscuits. Cashews are next, often overlooked but incredibly important for seniors. Cashews are full of magnesium and iron, both of which help your muscles contract properly and keep your blood delivering oxygen where it's needed. Low iron means fatigue, weak muscles, even dizziness. Sam, a 69-year-old mechanic, thought his tiredness was just old age, but his diet was iron poor. We added a small handful of cashews every day,
And within a month, his color was better, his energy was back, and he said, "Doc, I feel 10 years younger." Sometimes food really is the missing puzzle piece. Hazelnuts bring another gift: vitamin E and antioxidants that protect your muscle cells from damage. Aging brings wear and tear, little micro-injuries that don't heal as fast as they once did. Hazelnuts act like a shield, protecting your cells, keeping them young longer. Aruna, one of my oldest patients at 75, had hands so stiff she couldn't open jars anymore. We added hazelnuts to her afternoon snack, and over weeks, her grip improved. She told me, "I feel like I'm getting my hands back." That's the magic of nourishing your muscles properly. They repay you with independence. Brazil nuts are perhaps the most powerful of the bunch, but they come with a rule: just 1 or 2 a day. These nuts are rich in selenium, a mineral most people lack, especially older adults. Selenium supports your thyroid, which in turn controls your metabolism, energy, and how well you build new muscle. Without it, you feel cold, tired, slow. With just 1 Brazil nut a day, Mosen, age 70, noticed his evening fatigue lifting, his hands warmer, his mood better. It's a small thing with a huge effect. And finally, pecans. Soft, sweet, and easy to chew, especially if you have dentures. Pecans feed your muscles with fiber and healthy fats, supporting digestion and keeping your blood sugar steady, which means more energy to stay active. Salma, 73, swapped her morning toast for a bowl of Greek yogurt topped with chopped pecans, and she said something I'll never forget. "Doctor, I didn't just feel stronger, I felt lighter, like my whole body worked better." 7 nuts, 7 gifts from nature, each one with a different way of keeping your muscles alive, your energy steady, your independence yours to keep. The science backs this up. Study after study shows that people over 60 who include nuts regularly have stronger muscles, better memory, and a lower risk of frailty. But I've seen it firsthand. Patient after patient, life after life, made easier, brighter, stronger, with nothing more than a handful of the right foods.
Now, you might be wondering, Doctor, can something as small as a nut really do all that? Can it truly rebuild my muscles at my age? I understand the doubt. After all, the world tells us that aging equals weakness, that once you start losing strength, there's no going back. But let me tell you something I've learned after 3 decades of working with seniors. Your body never stops listening to you. Every bite of food, every small choice, every ounce of movement you give it, it responds. It may take longer than when you were 30, but the potential to heal, to rebuild, never leaves you. The trick is giving it what it's been silently asking for all these years. And these 7 nuts, they're like little whispers of life, packed with the exact nutrients your aging muscles crave. Protein to rebuild, magnesium to relax and repair, omega-3s to wash away inflammation, antioxidants to shield your cells from time's wear and tear, selenium to switch your metabolism back on. Each nut is different, yet together they form a quiet army fighting to give you back your strength. I've had patients in their 80s come to me convinced they were destined for a wheelchair, that their legs had simply given up. We didn't start with complicated workout plans or a medicine cabinet full of pills. We started with food, the right food, eaten at the right times, with intention. And over weeks, sometimes months, they stood taller. They climbed steps again. They started saying yes to outings they used to fear. And I promise you, you can feel that change too. Let's talk about how to make these 7 nuts part of your daily life, because knowing what helps is only half the battle. The real magic is in the habit. Morning is the best time to start. Your muscles wake up hungry. After a long night without food, they're ready to soak up nutrients that repair yesterday's wear and prepare you for today's moves. I often tell my patients, make nuts part of breakfast. A spoonful of walnut butter on whole grain toast. Almonds soaked overnight and eaten with yogurt. like pecans chopped over your morning porridge. This first act of kindness toward your body sets the tone for your whole day. Midday is your second opportunity. Blood sugar dips are common after lunch, and that's when fatigue tries to sneak in. Instead of tea biscuits or chips, reach for pistachios or cashews. Their steady protein and healthy fats keep your energy level even, so you don't spend the afternoon in your chair staring at the clock. A patient of mine, Faisal, 67, used to tell me his afternoons were a blur. He'd snack on sweets, then crash and nap, missing out on time with his grandchildren. We swapped his biscuits for pistachios and water. 2 weeks later, he was outside kicking a ball with the kids instead of napping the day away. Even evenings matter too. Brazil nuts are perfect here. Just 1 or 2 before dinner can help your thyroid do its job overnight, boosting your metabolism while you sleep. Good sleep is when most of your muscle repair happens, and nutrients like selenium are key to making that repair complete. I can't tell you how many times a patient has told me that their mornings feel easier just because they changed one small thing about their nighttime snack. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be complicated. A small jar of mixed nuts by your bedside or kitchen counter is all you need. When you see them, you remember them. When you remember them, you eat them. And when you eat them consistently, day after day, that's when you notice the difference. The steadier climb up the stairs, the firmer push to get out of a chair, the hug that doesn't leave your arms shaking. Of course, I wouldn't be doing my job as a doctor if I didn't add a note of caution. Nuts are nutrient-dense, which means they're powerful, but also calorie-rich. You don't need a bowl full, just a handful a day. And if you have allergies or are on blood-thinning medication, check with your doctor before adding walnuts or other nuts high in omega-3s. If your digestion feels uncomfortable after nuts, start small and choose softer ones like pecans or soaked almonds. Your body will adapt with time. But don't let fear stop you. Too often I see seniors hold back because they think their bodies are too old to change, too fragile to try new things. That's simply not true. You're not too late. Your muscles are waiting for you to remember them. And food, simple, humble, healing food, can be your ally every day. Let me tell you about Eleanor, 78 years old, a former nurse who came to me using a cane. She had stopped walking to the market because her legs trembled too much, and she feared falling. We worked on 2 things, light chair exercises to wake up her muscles, and a simple nut plan. Every morning, 3 almonds and 2 walnuts with breakfast. Afternoon, a small handful of pistachios. Evening, a single Brazil nut. That was it. 6 weeks later, Eleanor walked into my office without her cane. She still had her challenges, yes, but her face lit up when she said, "Doctor, I walked to the corner store today. It's been years." That's the power of consistency, of feeding your muscles what they've been starving for. I share these stories not because I think nuts are magic, but because I know what aging feels like to my patients. It's not just the physical weakness, it's the feeling of slipping away from yourself, of losing control of your own body. Every meal, every handful of these 7 nuts is a way of saying, I'm not done yet. My strength is still mine to keep. That belief, combined with the right nutrients, changes everything. Now imagine your life a few weeks from today if you start this simple practice. You wake up with more energy. Your legs feel steady as you walk to the kitchen. You don't fear the stairs. You have the stamina to join family outings, to kneel in the garden, to dance a little at your granddaughter's birthday. That's what food can do. That's what these nuts, small but mighty, can give you back.